Hi, it's Lakeisha Riddick here, just coming back after a minute to just share my world. This is what Doing It Afraid looks like. Wanted to share something that, has been on my heart for a minute, but I guess I got a little clarity yesterday. When we are on a journey to do something, nobody tells you everything that's going to happen on that journey. You think that you're going to do something and you're just going to get to the end. But we know in life, as they say, life be lifing, in an instance where it's rarely an A to Z straight journey. There's a lot of things that are kind of, detours, derailments. I would even say, traumas, tragedies, and stuff like that along the way. So for me, if you've been following my journey since 2015, this faith weight loss journey, I've always talked about it being more than just the weight. The physical manifestations that you see are private struggles that I'm experiencing, right? So my best friend was talking to me yesterday and said, well, what's holding you back from taking care of you? And it's me, right? And we know that, right? When it comes to different instances, but it's more than just me in terms of holding me back. And we talked about that as well. It's what my fears are. And she said, you have to actually call out what those fears are. You have to confront those fears. And for us who are on this journey, not by ourselves, but with God, we have to ask God to help us to have what? Faith over fear. The faith is just not going to happen. You have to replace those fearful thoughts with something that's more powerful than the fear. And for us, again, who follow Christ, it's his word and our testimony. So like, for example, if I tell you to stop thinking about the number one, okay, you just can't stop thinking about it. You have to replace that thought with thinking about the number 5 or something like that. So that's a practical thing. So for me, in terms of how do I do this afraid? How do I move forward? When you feel like I keep experiencing the same thing, I feel like I get far enough. And again, if you follow my journey, you can look at my YouTube channel and I see it. I see my Facebook memories. I see all of these things about my journey. And it is me. It's not like it's somebody else that's experiencing these things. But what's happening is that I believe God is calling me higher, just like he's calling you higher, to be resilient, you could be shaken, but you're not giving up. The surrender that he wants is a surrender that, okay, you're not doing this in your own strength, that you are being strengthened by him. And this is what it looks like, and I'll often say, it's one day at a time. So here I am back at, I guess you could say day one of this journey, move forward. I don't know what it's going to look like. Just like I didn't know what it looked like in 2015, just like none of us know exactly what it's going to look like. But I do know that with God, all things are possible. And so I'm going to keep it moving. And again, if you follow me on my social networks, Share My World Show, and even my own personal Facebook page, Lakeisha Riddick, you will see, and I even have a YouTube channel, Share My World Show, that I often share some biblical example of just this. And the example I wanted to share was Abraham, who was known as Abram. Now, we all often talk about Abraham, right? He's like, the pillar of faith. If you look at Hebrews 11, all that good stuff. But when you go back and really look at his journey, it was filled with a whole bunch of derailments, traumas, tragedies. But he was able to stay the course. And it wasn't that he was able to stay the course on his own. He had to, that's why he's in that hall of faith, right? He had to have faith. But the issue was, it wasn't that he had faith on his own. God knew him, knew his humanity, and was able to come and help him along the way. So go back and look at that. Genesis 12, God, he had to go leave his family, take people with him, right? And then immediately he's being challenged with Pharaoh being like, oh, your wife looks really good. I want her. Well, no, he didn't even say it was his wife. He was saying it was his sister. Then immediately after, because the land couldn't sustain them both, he had to separate from his nephew. And then we see later on his nephew was captured, and then he had to go to war. I mean, come on now. You leave your land that he was, rich, profitable. And he had to go do these things. And then we even see further where he got, he was afraid. And even God says to him in Genesis 15, do not fear. So what does that mean? That God knew that he had planted that there were seeds planted of fear within him. Even this great man of faith who became Abraham, the father of many. So what does that say to me? Lakeisha, okay, yeah, you're not Abraham, you're not Abram, but you are still one of God's daughters who fear can come and visit, because that's what the enemy's job is to do, to put us in a place where we are afraid to move. We're afraid to dream. We're afraid to believe. We're afraid to keep moving forward. So here I am, again, like I said, back in this space where I'm going to keep dreaming. I'm going to keep believing. I'm going to keep moving forward so that I can continue to be the blessing that God has called me to be, not just to other people, but to myself, because the calling that he has on my life is to do what I'm supposed to do to take care of me. So thank you for sharing my world. Now go and share your world with others. Be blessed.